Hello, everybody. My name's Stu Hirst, and I'm sorry first off that I can't be with you in person today. Unfortunately, the train strikes this week have made that impossible for me to get to Manchester. But I'm delighted to have you all at the event today. It's been something I've spoken at for a number of years now. So I've got a fairly short talk this morning called CISOs and Tiny Violins. It's a little bit of a bit about my journey as a CISO for the last couple of years and some of the difficulties of the role, and then how I'm navigating it really. So for those that haven't seen me speak before, I like memes, I like GIFs. I try not to take myself too seriously, given the nature of the job that we do, which can be very difficult at times. So I like to have a little bit of fun with it, even though today's talk has got some perhaps more difficult themes than I might normally talk about. So I don't really consider myself an expert or a thought leader, but I've certainly been around a few companies now. Been very lucky to work at these incredible organizations. And for the last 2 years, I've been the CISO at Trustpilot, which is one of the world's leading online reviews site. I've learned from all of these organizations. Some have been sort of reasonably successful and some less so, but I've certainly learned a hell of a lot from those places. And yeah, I'm now coming towards the start of year 3 as a CISO. So this talk really is about two things. Why is the role of a CISO fundamentally so bloody difficult? And then what have I learned from my 2 years in the job, and how have I navigated through some of those difficulties? Again, try and cram a few different themes in here to the short period of time I've got with you. This is something that's absolutely become apparent for me quite quickly, actually, as a CISO, and that's the idea of loneliness. Again, if I was in the room with you, I'd be watching you all take out your tiny violins and play them as loudly as you can for me. But I think I'm often privy to information that I can't share with people, and that's a leadership thing as much as a CISO role. But I often have to deal with information that I can't share more broadly, and that can be quite difficult. I found that I can't really have the same banter, if you like, that I used to have in the workplace, perhaps because of some of that information or because of the nature of the job that I do. Some of the camaraderie is a little bit different. Your sort of social circle in companies becomes smaller. I think I've also found over the last 2 years that as a CISO, I offer a huge amount of support to my teams and to the people I manage. I also manage site reliability engineering now as well, because security isn't crazy enough. But I often feel that I don't always have that support mechanism myself, which is just how leadership goes sometimes. So that can be quite tricky. I've also found that often the people that do manage you when you're in a leadership role, they're not actually very, very close to you, and that's due to the nature of their own jobs and their own difficult roles that they perform. And I think another thing that leads to loneliness is just making huge decisions almost daily, often without many people knowing about those decisions. That can lead to loneliness. So how do I deal with this, right? For me, arguably the most important thing I've got within my career actually is the importance of having allies. That can be internally in the business, and it doesn't have to be a security person, or it can be in the industry as a whole. I've got some very close industry friends that I talk to regularly about the stresses of the job and how to navigate it. I'm aware some CISOs and security professionals use therapy as a way to help with that. That's not something I've necessarily a route I've not gone down yet, but I know some who swear by it. The second thing I wanted to cover here is often nobody knows what I do. And I mean this with the sort of greatest of respect to people in businesses, but they're often just not privy to any of that information. Therefore, they don't really know what it is you do on a day-to-day basis. You're often dealing with secrecy, which can also be tricky and a burden. But it's obviously a niche part of a business still, and most of those people that you work with don't really understand the day-to-day role. So what do I do to combat that one? Really down to evangelism for me, as much as I can across the business. I often feel like I'm a bit of a salesman selling security to the rest of the business, although I really enjoy that aspect of it. That's how I tend to cope with the fact that nobody knows what I do. I'm sure this resonates for many of you in business, but I'm spread too thinly. I now look after 2 teams in the business, not just security, but SRE as well. I often find that on any given day, I'm context switching between many different things. And just overwhelmed with problems, overwhelmed with decisions, that can lead to difficulty. So there's 2 things that I've really managed to teach myself over the years, which are now absolutely fundamental to how I deal with my workload. Become very good at delegating. I've got an exceptional team to help me. I certainly delegate more than I ever have. I trust my team implicitly, and it allows me a bit more bandwidth to progress other vital work. And the second one really is around prioritization. I now simply only do things that have the most impact at that point in time. I would say the most important decisions I make on a day-to-day basis are what not to do. The 90 out of 100 things that I'm choosing not to do on any given day. In fact, my favorite meeting is the cancelled one. And I would always ask yourself, do I need this meeting? Do I need an hour? Could this be an email type thing? And my favorite Jira ticket is the one that I flag as won't do. So prioritization has been huge in the role of CISO. Now, this is a big one for me, and I'm sure many people in the room feel this, and this is something the industry needs to help combat, because it really can be an issue. The job of CISO and the job in security affects my health. My 10-year journey has taken me here, 12-year journey now. And that's had its ups and downs along the way, but fundamentally the job can be extremely difficult and unforgiving at times. There was a report called Life Inside the Perimeter, Understanding the Modern CISO. And it's some pretty sobering reading, to be honest. It's around the feedback from security professionals around what the job is doing to them as individuals for their health and well-being. I'll just read out some of these ones that you might be able to see here. So over a quarter of those questioned said the stress of the job is impacting their physical or mental health. Just as worryingly, nearly a quarter admitted that the job had also eroded personal relationships. Nearly 17% of CISOs say that they are medicating or using alcohol to deal with job stress, even though this is not a healthy or sustainable strategy. And as more of a professional concern, 27.5% of CISOs also admit that stress levels are affecting their ability to do the job. And that's super important, right? There's a graphic here that has, in the UK alone, 36% of security employees say that their stress levels are tremendous. That to me is frightening. So it's really very important to beware the burnout. I've been through it before in my career. I now know when it's about to kick in, so I've got some coping mechanisms I'm going to talk about. But burnout's real, it's very dangerous. You can't lead people effectively if you're not looking after yourself. So let me caveat the next few slides with I'm not a health professional. I'm not a doctor, but these are mechanisms that help me cope with stress in the job. I'll be honest, I used to do a lot of this. I still enjoy, a pint with my mates and that kind of thing. But in my younger years, I would definitely have used alcohol as a release mechanism. I'm not being preachy about any of this. Individuals can do what they feel is right. But I simply can't do that anymore, and I don't use that as the way to overcome stress. Movement is medicine for me. I still box a little bit. I still cycle. It's very much my outlet for stress on a general day-to-day basis. If I spend a few days where I haven't done something exercise-wise, I can feel it. It's very much a mood enhancer, so it's absolutely integral to my lifestyle. Decent diet. I mean, I wish I'd been told 10 years ago about nutrition and what it can do for the body and mind. Although I've never particularly had a poor diet, I certainly really understand it a lot better these days, and it's actually very good for the brain as much as the body. And I know there's a few CISOs on the circuit, if you like, that are very big on exercise training and overall diet and what it does for you. And then I try and do this more than I ever have, which is digital detox. When I go on holiday these days, I really do try and switch off. I try and remove myself from social media or LinkedIn and turn off my alerts. I delete apps now when I'm going on holiday, and I very much try and remove myself from the digital world because it gives me a nice chance to refresh and go again. So that's been a bit of a whirlwind 10 minutes on just sort of 5 of the things that I found quite difficult in a CISO role and how I've managed to deal with them. So just to wrap up, really, CISO jobs are really hard bloody work. There's no denying that at all. I think security roles in general are very hard work, actually, although rewarding and enjoyable, and that's why we're here. You have to have allies to combat loneliness. That's an important one for me, as I've said. Be an evangelist, keep getting the word out there. Get comfortable with delegation and prioritization. You generally have teams that you can delegate work to. They'll be very willing to help you out, so that's really important. And then the 2 main ones, I think, in general, look after your body and mind, and really know when to switch off. And if I can leave you with one last slide. I love my job. I love my career. I feel very fortunate to do what I do for a living, and I love doing these kind of things as well, the talks and public speaking. But these are just jobs, right? That picture there, that's my 2 children. They are the most important thing to me, and while I give my all at my day job and do what I can for my industry, there are more important things. So let's kind of bear that in mind as we navigate our way forward. So thank you. I was going to actually put a slide of my football team on here, given this is at Old Trafford, but I thought better of it. I'm a Leeds fan, by the way, so I thought I'd have a giggle towards the end. Listen, huge thanks. Enjoy the rest of the event. Sorry I can't be there in person, as I said, but really looking forward to catching up with you all again soon. And thank you very much. See you later. Bye.